It was a cold and rainy night. The wind was strong, and the trees outside were shaking. Thunder roared in the sky, and lightning flashed again and again. The small house at the edge of the forest stood quietly, its lights flickering in the storm. Inside the house, a man named David was sitting near the fireplace. He lived alone. He was reading an old book, trying to pass the time. The storm didn't scare him. He liked quiet nights. But something about this night felt different. Suddenly there was a knock at the door. David froze. Who would come here in such bad weather? He stood up slowly and walked to the door. The knocking came again, soft, weak, and slow. He opened the door carefully, expecting maybe a traveler or a neighbor. But what he saw made him step back in shock. A woman stood at the door, soaking wet, her skin pale and glowing faintly. She didn't look human. Her eyes were large and silver, and her hair was dark blue. In her arms were two small children twins. They looked like her but smaller, scared, and shaking from the cold. The woman looked at David. Her lips moved, but no sound came. She fell forward, and David quickly caught her. "Help, my children," she whispered, and then fainted. David pulled them inside. The twins didn't speak. They only looked at him with wide, glowing eyes. Their skin had strange patterns that shined faintly in the dim light. David placed the woman on the couch and wrapped her in a blanket. He did the same for the twins. He tried to ask them questions, but they didn't understand him. They stayed close to their mother and held her hands. He noticed something. The woman's arm had a deep wound. She was injured badly. David didn't know much about medicine, but he tried to clean the wound and cover it. The blood wasn't red, it was a light blue color. As he worked, the lights in the house began to flicker again. The storm outside became louder. Then, something strange happened. The woman opened her eyes. She looked weak but focused. She pulled something from her clothes, a small silver device. It looked like a cube, but it was smooth and glowing. She pressed it into David's hands. "Protect them," she said, her voice soft and full of pain. "They are the last. .. Her head dropped back. She was unconscious again. David looked at the device. It had strange symbols on it, ones he had never seen before. It felt warm in his hand. He placed it on the table and sat down, trying to understand what was happening. Who was this woman? Where did she come from? What were those glowing symbols on the children's skin? He looked at the twins again. One of them was drawing something on the table with finger circles, stars, and lines. The other one was just staring at him, eyes glowing brighter than before. Suddenly, the house became very quiet. Even the storm outside seemed to stop for a moment. David stood up and walked to the window. He looked out, trying to see through the rain. That's when he saw it. A tall, dark figure stood near the edge of the forest. It wasn't moving. It was just watching the house. David felt a chill run down his spine. He blinked, and the figure was gone. He quickly closed the curtains and locked the doors. Something was wrong, very wrong. He turned to look at the device again. It had started glowing brighter then. It projected a small hologram into the air. It showed a planet burning, ships flying in the sky, and strange machines chasing people. David didn't understand the language, but he understood the message they were running. And now they were here. He looked at the woman and the twins. They were sleeping now, but not peacefully. The children held each other tightly, their small hands trembling. David knew he couldn't just ignore this. These were not just visitors. They were refugees. They were scared, alone, and hunted. And now, he was part of their story. Outside, the rain continued to fall. But in the darkness of the forest, more shadows were moving. The storm passed by morning, but the fear remained. David hadn't slept. He sat near the couch, watching over the alien woman and her two children. The silver cube she had given him still glowed softly on the table, like it was alive. The house was silent, but outside, something didn't feel right. Suddenly the cube made a low humming sound. David turned quickly. The cube lifted into the air, slowly, quietly, then opened like a flower. A soft blue light filled the room, and a moving image appeared in the air. It looked like a recording, but it wasn't like any human video. The images were three-dimensional. Floating around him, he saw a city in the sky, tall towers, flying vehicles, bright colors. Alien people were walking peacefully. Then the scene changed. A dark ship arrived. The sky turned red. Screaming faces, explosions, burning streets, children running, soldiers chasing them. David stood frozen. He could feel the fear in the air, like the memory was alive. Then came a voice, not in English. It spoke in an alien language, deep and echoing, but the emotion was clear. Warning. The message ended, and the cube closed again, falling back onto the table with a soft click. David sat down, breathing heavily. These weren't just lost travelers, they were escaping a war. The woman on the couch stirred. She opened her eyes slowly. Her voice was weak. "Did you see ... the message?" David nodded yes. "I don't understand the words, but I saw it." She took a deep breath. "They destroyed our world. My people ... Some betrayed us. They want my children for their powers. They ... are special." David looked at the twins. They were still asleep, holding each other tightly. One of them had a glowing mark on his wrist. It looked like a star with moving light inside. What kind of powers? He asked. She didn't answer. Her head dropped back, and she lost consciousness again. David stood up and walked to the window. The forest was quiet, too quiet. Birds weren't singing. The wind wasn't moving. Then he saw something strange. A small black object, like a drone, floated in the trees. It had no sound. Just a red light blinking slowly. It was scanning his house. He stepped back quickly and pulled the curtain. They had found them. David rushed to the twins. They woke up as he touched them. One looked scared, the other angry. Their eyes began to glow again. The lights in the house flickered. Hey, David whispered. It's okay, I'm here. He didn't know why he said that, but somehow, he meant it. The boy with the star mark pointed at the cube. David gave it to him. The boy touched the top of the device, and another image appeared, this time smaller, simpler. It showed a picture of Earth. Then a symbol appeared on the Earth, his house. They were not hiding by accident. They were sent here. David looked at them. They weren't just running. They were brought here for a reason. But why him? He didn't have much time to think. Outside, a low sound echoed like metal grinding. The drone was gone, but now, in its place, was something worse. A tall machine, half invisible, moved between the trees. It was searching. David looked at the sleeping woman and the children, then at the cube. He had no weapons, no plan, but he had something else, a promise. He picked up the cube, locked the doors, and went down to the basement. He would hide them for now. He would protect them no matter what came next, because somehow, he understood these children could change everything. The air felt different that morning, still heavy, like the sky was holding its breath. David stood outside his house, just past the front porch. He hadn't gone far. He didn't dare, but something had been calling to him since sunrise. His eyes followed the line of trees at the edge of the forest. The storm had passed, but the ground was still wet. Birds were gone. No wind, no sound. Then he saw it burn marks in the grass, black, circular patterns, perfect rings. They hadn't been there before. David stepped closer. The soil was hot. Steam rose slowly, as if something powerful had landed there during the night. Maybe while he was asleep. Maybe while the cube was showing him that message. Suddenly a sound came from above, not thunder, not an airplane, something else, a low humming. Vibration passed through his chest. He looked up. A large object moved through the clouds, moved black and silent. It didn't fly like any human craft. It floated like it was swimming through the air. No wings, no lights, just presence. David ran back inside, heart pounding. He locked the door and looked at the twins. They were awake now, staring at the ceiling. They felt it too. The alien woman was still weak. She opened her eyes slowly. They've found us. David's hands shook. Who are they? She looked at him with tired silver eyes. Hunters, machines made by my people. They track and take. He didn't know what to say. He looked at the children. We have to hide. No, she whispered too late. Just then, the house shook. Not from impact, but from sound. A deep mechanical voice echoed from above the roof. You are harboring fugitives. Surrender them. The voice wasn't loud, but it seemed to crawl inside David's bones. The children hid behind him. One of them touched the wall and the lights in the room dimmed. The other raised a hand, and the cube on the table lit up again. This time a map appeared in the air. A small blue dot blinked rapidly. His house, and around it, red circles closing in. David didn't wait. He helped the alien woman to her feet. She could barely move. He led them down to his basement, which was half built, half forgotten. Old tools, broken furniture, and shelves of dust. He cleared space and brought blankets. The children sat quietly. Their glowing eyes watched him. Not with fear, but with trust. The cube floated in the air, now spinning slowly. It beeped once, then twice. Then it spoke for the first time in English. One target approaching, class seeker. David stared. What does that mean? The woman closed her eyes. Scout drone. If it sees them, others will follow. Just then the lights went out. Total silence. David looked up through the thin wooden basement window. He saw it. A machine, human-shaped, but far too tall. 6 glowing red eyes. Its body moved without sound, scanning the ground with beams of blue light. It had no face, just armor and purpose. It walked right past the house. David didn't breathe. The children held hands. Then one of the twins looked at the cube and whispered a word in their own language. The cube blinked. The machine stopped walking. Then it turned its head directly toward the house. David felt the blood drain from his face. They know, the woman said, her voice cracking. They're not looking for us, David, she whispered. They're looking for what's inside our children. The night was silent again, but not peaceful. David sat in the basement, his back against the wall, his shotgun beside him. Not that it would help much against a floating machine from another world. Upstairs, everything was still too still. The strange hunter drone had disappeared hours ago, but he knew it wasn't over. The alien woman Alira was resting now. Her breathing was slow, weak. Whatever strength she had left, she had used it to shield the children earlier. She was fading. David turned to the twins. They sat quietly in the corner, eyes glowing softly in the dark. They hadn't said a word, not even in their own language, but they were watching him, studying him. Suddenly, the boy stood up. He walked David held out his hand. In his small palm was a glowing stone, warm, pulsing with blue light. David took it, unsure. As soon as his skin touched it, something strange happened. A vision hit him, not a dream, not a memory, something in between. He saw the boy standing in a room made of stars. Light moved through his body like rivers. The girl floated beside him, creating waves with her hands, waves that shaped matter, planets, fire, sound. Then a voice spoke inside David's mind, soft, young, but clear. "We're not weapons, we're seeds." David gasped and dropped the stone. His heart raced. He looked at the boy, then the girl. What are you?" The girl smiled, for the first time, and then, to David's surprise, she spoke in perfect English. "We were made to restart what was lost." David blinked. "You can talk now," she nodded. "Only with someone who listens." The boy joined her. "We feel people inside, their fear, their kindness. Yours is loud." David didn't know what to say. He looked down at the stone again. "Are you human, half human?" The girl shook her head. "No, but we're becoming something new." Then Illyra's voice came from the corner, soft but firm. "They were born after the fall of our world. We made them different." David turned to her. "Different how?" "They are not soldiers. They are not machines. They were created with a piece of every race that once lived in our galaxy. Knowledge, power, emotion. They were hope, in flesh." She coughed badly. David rushed to her. "You need help. Real help. A doctor. Something." "There's no time for me," she whispered. "But there is time for them." Then she looked at him seriously. "They're not hiding from war, David. They are the reason war is coming." David felt a cold wave wash over him. Outside, something shook the ground. Not close, but not far either. The boy stood and pointed upward. "More are coming," he said. "Not like the first one. Bigger, faster." David checked his gun. Pointless, but it gave him comfort. "We have to run," he said. The girl shook her head. "We have to awaken." David frowned. "Awaken what?" The two twins looked at each other, then reached out to the glowing cube. Together, as they touched it, the device split open. Light poured from it, filling the basement with stars. In that moment, David saw not just space but time. He saw a galaxy before it fell. He saw armies chasing something they could never catch. He saw the twins, much older, standing on the edge of a burning world. And then he saw himself, holding their hands, fighting beside them, protecting them. Illyra whispered from behind, her voice almost gone. "The bond is complete." David turned. "What does that mean?" "It means," she said with her last breath, "they've chosen you." And then she closed her eyes and didn't open them again. The sky turned orange as the sun began to rise. But inside the house, it felt darker than ever. Illyra was gone. David had buried her beneath the old tree behind his house, the only place that still felt untouched by fear. The twins stood beside the grave, silent, their glowing eyes filled with something deeper than sadness, not tears, but memory. The girl placed a small stone on the grave, whispering something in her own language. The boy just stared at the clouds, waiting. David felt the weight of it all pressing on his chest. He wasn't a hero. He wasn't ready for this, and yet two alien children with powers beyond anything on Earth had chosen him. Why? He didn't have time to find the answer. A voice came from behind him. David turned. It was Sheriff Kelleran. Old friend, big boots, wide brim hat, always smelled like coffee and mud. He looked confused and tired, like he hadn't slept either. "What the hell is going on?" Keller asked. People around town saw lights, strange shapes in the sky. "Is everything all right?" David paused. He couldn't tell him the truth. Who would believe it? "Just some storm damage," David said. "Couple of trees fell. Power went crazy." Keller glanced at the twins, who were the kids. David froze. Their relatives staying with me for a bit. Keller didn't look convinced. He stepped closer, eyes narrowing. "Mind if I come in?" "Just for a minute." David forced a smile. "Sure." Inside the house, everything was quiet. The cube had been hidden under a loose floorboard. The twins sat on the couch, staring at Keller silently. Keller looked around slowly, then said, "You know, David, you're a terrible liar." Before David could react, Keller pulled a small silver device from his coat. It looked alien because it was. The cube in the floor began to hum. Sensing it, David's stomach dropped. "Where did you get that?" Keller's eyes went cold. "They gave it to me. The ones looking for your guests." David stepped back. "You called them here?" Keller shrugged. "They said they just wanted the kids. Said they were dangerous. Said you were being used." "I saw what those things did," David said. "They're not rescuers. They're hunters." Keller shook his head. "You don't understand, Dave. This ain't your fight. You're just a man. But if you hand them over, they promise they'll leave the rest of us alone." David's hands clenched. "You're going to sell our children to save your skin." "They're not children," Keller snapped. "They're weapons. One of them looked at me yesterday and I couldn't move for hours. My dog hasn't come back since." David looked at the twins. They sat quietly watching, but their eyes were glowing again. Not with fear, with warning. Keller pulled out a radio. "They're already on the way. All I need to say is clear." David moved fast. He knocked the radio out of Keller's hand and shoved him back. Keller drew a pistol. but before he could aim, the boy raised his hand. The gun fell apart in the air like the metal forgot how to stay solid. Keller stumbled back, terrified. "What are they?" The girl stood up, her voice calm. "We're not your enemy, but you're about to become ours." Keller ran. David locked the door behind him, chest pounding. "They'll be here in minutes," he said. "We have to go." The cube rose from the floor on its own. A soft blue light filled the room. It showed a map, new lines glowing. A path, a way out. The boy looked at David. "We trusted you," he said quietly. "Don't break." David looked out the window in the distance. 3 black dots were falling from the sky. Ship's ground was shaking, not like a normal earthquake. This was something deeper, rhythmic, measured, as if something huge was walking toward them. Step by step, David grabbed the twins' hands and ran. They didn't ask questions. They didn't cry. Their glowing eyes stared ahead, focused, silent, as the trees around them blurred into shadows. Behind them, the house was gone. Not destroyed, not erased. From the sky had come a single beam of white light. It hadn't exploded. It had lifted the house, torn it apart piece by piece, and sucked it into nothingness. Elira's grave, gone. David didn't have time to look back. The cube hovered beside them, spinning faster now. Its soft glow had changed more like a warning than a guide. Target confirmed. Pursuit engaged. It spoke in a voice like metal and wind. David ducked under low branches as they ran through the forest. His chest burned. His legs shook, but he couldn't stop. Not now. The boy tugged on his sleeve. "We can't keep running," he said. The girl added. "They will not stop unless we make them stop." David stopped beside a fallen tree, panting. "How? You're just..." He caught himself. They weren't just children. He had seen it, felt it. These kids held power older than Earth, power that scared machines built to kill planets. "Do you have a plan?" David asked. The twins looked at each other. Then the girl placed her hand on the cube. It opened wide, wider than ever before, and revealed something new. Inside it was a black crystal spinning slowly. Around it, images flashed. Symbols, ancient. Languages, battlefields, star maps. The boy spoke first. "It's not a weapon." David frowned. "What is it?" "It's a key," the girl said. "But it only works if we stay together." Just then, the forest exploded. A giant metal soldier 20 feet tall crashed through the trees. Its face was blank, but 6 glowing red eyes scanned the ground. On its back were 2 long cannons. Its arms were sharp like blades. It didn't speak. It didn't have to. The cube said it for them. "Class Omega Enforcer, mission contain, eliminate." David stepped forward, his shotgun in hand. Useless, but he raised it anyway. The boy touched David's shoulder. "No, this time we protect you." He turned to the girl. She nodded. Together, they stepped toward the machine. The cube floated above their heads, spinning faster than ever. A strange sound filled the air, not mechanical, but musical. Like a chorus of deep voices humming in space. The boy raised his hands. Light flowed from his palms, white, clean, and burning hot. The girl raised hers. The air shimmered. Like a wave of invisible force rippled outward. The machine fired. Twin blasts shot toward them. David shouted, but the blasts never hit. The light from the boy's hands bent the energy away. The girl's wave pushed the machine backward, its legs scraping through the soil, carving a deep trench in the earth. The twins walked forward. Their eyes no longer glowing, they were now shining. Then they spoke. Not in English, not in alien tongue, but in something deeper. A word that stopped the machine cold. The cube translated command, "Stand down." The giant metal beast froze. Sparks flew from its joints. Its red eyes flickered, confused. Then one by one its limbs powered down. It knelt. And then it spoke. "Error, alpha code, recognized." The cube dimmed. The twins looked back at David. "We didn't know," the girl said. "Our code, it's in them." David walked forward slowly. "You're not just the last of your kind," he said. The boy nodded. "We are the key to stop the war, or start it again." David looked up at the sky. More ships were coming. The battlefield was silent. The trees had stopped moving. The wind had died. Ash floated in the air like snow, falling slowly to the ground. The giant machine knelt in the mud, powered down. Around it, the forest was scorched and broken, snapped, soil torn, sky filled with the smoke of something ancient awakening. David stood still, his clothes dirty, his hands shaking. Beside him, the twins were glowing not with power, but with calm, peace, as if they had finally done what were born to do. "Is it over?" David asked. The boy looked at him. "No," he said softly. "It's just changed." Above them, the clouds split open. A massive ship descended, but not like the others. This one was shaped like a crescent moon, moving without sound. It didn't burn the sky, it bent it. David stepped back, ready to run again. But the girl touched his arm. "They're not hunters," she said. "They're the last. Like us." The ship hovered silently. Then, a beam of soft blue light came down, not to attack but to invite. The cube floated from the twins' hands and entered the beam. It pulsed once like a heartbeat and vanished into the ship. A voice echoed from the sky, gentle and warm. "Guardian recognized. Earth connection confirmed." David blinked. "Guardian." The boy smiled. It's you. Before David could answer, something strange happened. His wrist bare until now began to glow. The same star-shaped mark the twins carried slowly appeared on his skin. Faint, soft, but real. He stepped back in disbelief. What is this? It means you're part of us now, the girl said. You are always meant to be. David looked at the ship, then the children. I'm just a man, a quiet one. I fix fences. I read books. I'm not. You are, the boy said. You made a choice. When you could have run, you didn't. David didn't speak. His heart ached for Alira, for the quiet life he had lost, for the mystery he still didn't understand. The twins took his hands. You're not alone, the girl whispered. You never were. The ship's beam expanded, covering all three of them. The air shifted. Time slowed. Prepare for transfer, the voice said. Galactic defense protocol unlocked. Suddenly, the forest around them dissolved into light. David saw stars, worlds, whole civilizations, and war, endless burning war, but also, he saw something else. A network of resistance. Small outposts of peace, rebellion. Children like the twins lost, scattered across the galaxy, waiting for someone. Not a warrior, not a king, but a guardian, just like him. David stepped forward, the twins beside him as they entered the ship. He turned back once toward the earth, toward the trees, toward the broken home that had started it all. I'll be back, he whispered. The ship rose quietly and disappeared into the sky. Moments later the wind returned. The birds sang again, and in the soft grass where they had once stood, a small silver seed blinked once, then began to grow.